Hello guys, it's Ivan here checking in, and as always, first things first, hope you guys are wicked. Second, in today's video I'm going to be talking about power, which is basically the second attribute of charisma. Attribute or trait, because there's obviously, again, there's three of them, which is, one of them is presence, which is the core, and then we have power, and then warmth. But anyway, first things first, I think it's worth mentioning that when I say power, it's not exactly about you exercising how much powerful you are than the other person or anything along those lines. It's more like exercising the power of you have over yourself, right? Because just like someone said once, that obviously we cannot control what happens out there, what happens to us, but what we can control, or what we can do, is exercise power over ourselves, learning how to control how we react to things, or molding ourselves into the best person or the best place we can be to make the best of life, regardless of its uncertainty and the things it throws at us. But anyway, back to the point of the video. Anyway, so here's an interesting example of power, which I also got. Both of these examples I'm going to give, I got from Olivia Fox-Gabane's videos that she did, or rather seminar she did after her book came out, which is The Charisma Myth. Again, you can go buy it or check it out if you want. It will be worth your money, I promise. Anyway, the first one is, we're all animals, and if you think about gorillas, right, they're territorial animals, and so they live in small groups where one group may contain one alpha male, always contains one alpha male, a few female gorillas, and then kids, right? Now, if another alpha male or another gorilla tried to encroach on its territory, right, this gorilla will react, right? In its reaction, you can imagine it will be making a lot of noise, banging its chest and whatever, try to intimidate the intruder, right? But at the very basic level, if you break down what it's doing, is by definition taking up more space, because as you as well, you can try standing up right now and take up the stance of a gorilla banging its chest. You realize that when you lift your chest up and, put your arms out with your elbows out, trying to bang your chest, you're by definition taking up more space than you are if you're just standing, and and that's the same thing that the gorilla is trying to do. And alpha humans do the same thing as well, because if you think about, if you've been to an interview with other people there as well, interviewing for the same job or whatever, or if you were doing something that intimidates you with other people as well, you see some people, or those who own it, those ones who sit in one chair, who'd sit terribly. Actually, I'd like to think of it as sitting terribly, because they sit and open their legs out wide, and then they put their arms on the second chair and then the third chair, or even put their legs up on the table. What are they doing? Again, in the very basic level, they're trying to take up as much space as possible. And the trick to this is genius, because obviously you're tricking your brain into thinking it's all good, it's okay, there's no need to, start panicking or hyperventilating or even being nervous at all, because if it's an interview, you're going to slay it, or if that job, you're gonna get it, or whatever it might be, right? So your brain will obviously cut down on the stress hormones, the cortisols and whatnot, and then or produce more of the feel-good hormones like dopamine and whatnot, right? And the opposite's true for someone who's nervous, and if they're like in line for a job interview, or rather in the waiting room for an interview again, they will be, if they're sitting in a chair, they will be trying to take up as little space as possible, try to keep to themselves, right? It's staying in their head, and this is obviously bad, because it makes your brain produce more cortisol, because you're unsure, you're worried, and all of these things. Your brain will produce more cortisol than the feel-good hormones, so you'll be intimidated when you get in there. And there's little chance of you getting the job. But again, it's not entirely impossible. And the example that I thought was rather interesting is an army general. If you think about an army general who's interviewing rookies or guys who are new at the base and whatnot, if you think about how he stands as well, he tries to take up as much space as possible to intimidate the rookies, right? he will stand up, put his arms behind his chest, lift his chest up a little, sorry, put his hands behind his back, open his feet up a little bit and lift his chest up a bit, you know, shout or rather raise his voice a little higher to intimidate these kids. So just come in. Again, trying to take up as much space as possible, cutting down his cortisol, increasing his dopamine and all those feel-good hormones, right? Same thing. So the point of this video as well is, if you want to start exercising this, is if you're trying to do, it doesn't necessarily have to, you don't necessarily have to wait for the next interview or whatever. It can just be, if you're trying something that's outside your comfort zone, something that's new, something that would usually terrify you. Try taking a Superman pose for about 10 seconds because it's proven to increase your feel-good hormones. Or you can, if you're sitting in a waiting room in an interview or whatever, trying to take up as much space as possible. Another thing that would help in that sort of case is try to stay out of your own head. Stay out of your head. Stop thinking too much. Try talking to other interviewees or try to play a game. Text your friends. Try to get yourself feeling excited, right? So when you get in there, you're not really stressed out. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you guys liked it, drop a like, and you know, for those who are new, subscribe for more. You guys are wicked, and I'll see you guys in the next video.